Now, where's Potter so we could do... He does the music, doesn't he?
He does.
I can't even think of what that music is because it's so awful. I don't know what. If anyone can do a reasonable facsimile of our so-called music that intros the show, feel free, because obviously we can't today. We got a little bit of a technological breakdown here. You'll be free of all commercial breaks and free of that music. I think other than that, we can keep talking, and things should function relatively normally, as normal as things ever get around here. And it being Tuesday, my sister Susan should be in St. Louis waiting to come on to this crippled ship. Suze.
Can't break me down.
Yeah, but I caught you in mid-gulp of something. Can't break. No. So anyway, we just got to keep babbling. I feel strangely, without my intro music, I feel strange. I feel like nobody's really even there. And they might not be, because they didn't hear the intro music either and might have just said, no, screw it, and then left.
Maybe.
That could be. So welcome home. Susan's been flitting around the country, as is her habit. You were in California?
In Chicago, in California.
Yeah, good time.
Yeah.
Good.
Sort of restful. It was cold, but that's fine.
Cold? It had to have been warmer than it was here.
Well, one day it wasn't.
In California? You were in Southern California?
We were hanging off a cliff above Laguna.
Laguna. And it was cold. Gee whiz.
It was spring break, but that wasn't stopping anybody down on the beach, I'll tell you that much.
Isn't that amazing? Well, it was what did the temperature get to on Saturday here? Maybe 4.
Definitely 50.
Do you think it got up to 50? Whatever. It seemed, I went for a walk, and I think it was in the 40s, and it felt like so warm because it has been so cold here. And there's a guy who lives in a house near me who has a tree that he made into a facsimile of a lighthouse. I mean, it was a dead tree.
Right.
And he
made it into a sculpture.
Yeah, supposedly. It just looks like a big phallus in his front yard. And he was sitting, I thought initially naked, because all I saw was flesh, underneath his lighthouse in a chair reading, and he was completely, disrobed, except I'm sure he had something on, but I couldn't see it because whatever he was reading was covering his midsection. And I'm thinking, this is nuts, because I don't think it was 50 degrees at the time. And that's how desperate people are for
spring.
Oh, yeah.
It was a little warmer here, and we had and Sunday here was actually like in the high 60s.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's coming. It's got. I mean, my God, it's April. It's ridiculous when April shower.
Well, remember what we were doing last year? Last year we were halfway through the summer, and it was April.
That is true. I heard someone say.
I got to say, in comparison,
this is
infinitely prefer this. It's better. For our wildlife, it's better. Just hang on.
It's true. It is better for the natural things. It is. It's back sort of on a more reasonable schedule. But, God, so there's no ability to anticipate anymore what, you used to know sort of when you could plant, when spring was, when winter is, because it just kept up a pretty regular pace. But
no.
You don't think it did?
I think that's Reconstructionist history. I really do. Some years you can plant early. Some years you get an early spring, and then all of a sudden there's a freeze, and you're back to the beginning. I mean, it's always unpredictable. That's what spring is.
Unpredictable?
Right. And, that's why March sometimes comes in like a lamb and out like a lion, and sometimes the other way around.
All right. I surrender and I defer.
Right. I mean, if there are little sayings about it, it has to have always been thus.
Oh, now that's bull. If there are little sayings about it. Okay, I'll give you a saying. Absence makes the heart grow fonder. And here's another one. Out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah.
Well, they're mutually exclusive. I mean, there's lots of ones like that.
Sometimes one is true and
sometimes the other is true. But stop and think of all those sayings that are absolutely, there's one and then there's another that totally negates it. Although I don't think there's anything that negates a stitch in time saves 9. Is there any adage?
Haste makes waste.
Yeah, not quite. Do you think? Not quite. I mean, because it would have to be something extolling the virtues of procrastination. And I doubt there is such a thing. Haste makes waste just means slow down. But I know there's others that are, and I wonder if there's even a word for that negate each other. Oh, Susan.
Yes.
So did your St. Louis Cardinals win on opening day?
No, of course not. We never do. We lay back in the grass like snakes.
Yeah. You sure did last year. And we never win on opening day either, and we didn't. And unfortunately, it's not because we're laying in the grass.
You never know.
I mean, lying in the grass. Never got that one right. Lying in the grass.
You lay something down, but you lie.
You lie, and hens lay. While they're lying on their they lay an egg.
Well, they aren't lying, though. They're sitting, but it's okay.
But that you get the idea. Well, I never said hello because we had this strange non-introduction of the show. So, hello, it's Tuesday, and it's April 2nd.
Thank goodness, because who knows what was an April Fool's joke and what wasn't.
Well, I was not bothered by any yesterday. I clearly saw a few on, flitting around Twitter. I saw the somebody, Scope, came out with a bacon-flavored mouthwash. I thought, oh, no, I ain't buying that. Sorry. And I forget if I bumped into any others. But, no, if there were, it was a pretty paltry. Anyway, I hate it. I hate April Fools because I generally hate practical jokesters and pranksters. I mean, I just find that a cruel kind of humor. More cruel than most humor.
Well, and we have an election, a local election today.
Ooh.
For school board and some city council stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so yesterday, was the last day to drop those things in the mail that it's too late to answer to.
No, I don't know what you mean.
Oh, local politics gets very dirty. So if you time your last mailing with, some explosive thing in it
okay.
land in people's mailboxes.
That can't be responded. Okay.
So there's no time to respond.
Yeah.
So I got something in my mail yesterday with a big black headline that says, "This is what a bully looks like." Excuse me, I'm choking. And it's a ugly mugshot-like picture of a nasty old white guy.
Yeah.
And it's labeled photo of Alderman candidate Mr. David Caldwell at a city council meeting. And then goes on, "Dear Ward 1 voter," which I am, and it goes on to tell me about the bully who lives across the street from her.
Is that a real picture of him?
It's a real picture of him, and she's talking about the big snow that happened, a week ago last Sunday when I was trying to fly out of St. Louis. And we got a foot of snow.
And what did this horrible person do?
And apparently this woman's snowplow company on Sunday night cleared her driveway, but inadvertently left some snow blocking this guy's driveway.
Well, that's what happens, yeah.
So he rings her, this lady's phone, this lady's doorbell, and she describes herself as having 3 lumbar herniated discs that need to be replaced and a bad hip. He thought that he was coming to shovel my drive, he shows up at her doorway, and he's screaming at her about this, and she apologizes and says she'll call her plow company and have them come right back, no problem. And instead what he does is he goes out and he shovels all the snow back into her driveway. And she, of course, this being a modern age, and she being a hip old broad,
shot him.
She
What?
videotapes him.
Oh yeah, she videotaped him.
And she put it up on YouTube. You too can see it. You just have to search for David Caldwell shoveling snow 2, which I did, and I couldn't tell it was him. It was some old guy, and he was carrying snow from one place to the other in the dark.
Okay, so
but
he's
anyway,
a jerk.
this lands the night before, and it just cracks me up. I mean,
So you think he's an incumbent?
No, he's running for a newly opened seat.
Okay, so you think he's toast?
I think he's toast. I thought he was toast before because the little campaign literature that I saw of him used the current, Tea Party-ish code words that would warn me off.
Okay, but so here's the rest of the story. These are neighbors.
Yeah, so that's what I can't believe. Like, he's not going to figure out who's talking about him?
Well,
it's either slander and false, or he can identify who this is.
Yeah, but he didn't. She hasn't done anything criminal, has she?
Well, if she made up the story and printed it and mailed it out,
well, why would she have made it up if she has visual proof of him shoveling snow back onto her?
The visual proof is I would not call it proof. I can't tell you that who is in that thing is anything other than an older gentleman.
Right, but
and
why
I don't
would
know
she
where he's
go
taking the snow from,
right,
or where he's taking it to.
Yeah, but I must say, who would go to all that trouble? What I'm thinking is these two have to live next door to each other.
I know.
God, people make such stupid.
I know.
I think he sounds stupid and she sounds stupid. Everybody sounds stupid in this story.
Well, so then a friend of mine, knowing someone else that lives in their subdivision, wrote them and said, "So, is this like April Fools or what?" And that person, who is considered a good source, said, "Vote for his opponent." So the neighbors all hate him.
Well,
turns out this is who he is.
Yeah, but I don't know. I cannot imagine if you don't like your neighbor or are not getting along with him, upping the ante so that the person. I mean, because every time you come home to your home,
you have to feel so awful.
Yeah, right there is this enemy, and you've now made it worse, and every little thing now. And I mean, I know some people who do have, real. I know somebody who had a lawsuit, did have a lawsuit with a neighbor, and I'm thinking, how do you go? And it was ugly, and it's semi-resolved, but when I go home, I like to feel I'm in my refuge.
Right. No, it's very hard. I mean, I have an issue like that now.
Not quite.
My next neighbor.
Well, not quite, though, because the guy.
He threw up a shed.
I know.
Susan, it's just totally illegal, and it's
I know,
all I see out of the front of my house.
But you like him, and he's a little nuts, so...
Yes.
Okay.
So I have to live with what is clearly an illegal building?
No, so a reporter. Susan lives next to a character that she wakes up in the middle of the night and the SWAT team is outside. That's the kind of neighbor.
And I'm on his side.
And she likes the guy, but he's nuts, and he doesn't have a sense of proper.
He has no sense of boundaries in any respect.
No, or like sort of suburban etiquette, so that he keeps his home looking like it would look good in a holler in West Virginia.
He looks like he took an architecturally significant building, his home,
very lovely,
and single-handedly made it look like the headquarters of the Jefferson County meth lab.
Yeah, right. It does. It looks like it does. And then he put up an outbuilding, which is against all this. But he's
sweet.
he's sweet and insane, and he
Right,
likes
so
Susan.
I did complain anonymously.
Oh, so you did. You ranted on him anonymously?
Of course. I called City Hall immediately. I said, I want to stay on good terms with this guy. I don't want him to know that it's me complaining.
Because it could be anybody.
I'm just asking you to determine whether this is a conforming use.
Well, you know it's not. So has anything happened? I mean, I don't think...
He got cited. And so what he did is he's putting lipstick on his pig.
What did he do, painted?
He's painting it matte brown so it doesn't shine in my windows, and he put a canvas door on his aluminum carport. But here's the problem with it. I'll tell you what the problem is, and I'll tell you why
I'm thinking we should move on because I don't know if people with fences make good neighbors.
The problem with these things is that in these tumultuous times, to bring us back to our first conversation, i.e. climate change, those things can be, wind shear can pick that up and put it right through the front of my house.
Yeah, but wind shear could pick up a tree
You know how many times have I been without power? And
I know
because of terrible
I know you have terrible storms.
Galloping right through the
You're like practically
in
in Tornado Alley. I know. However, so you see that as a threat.
That's why it's against the law to have it there.
It's not well grounded.
Right.
Well, I don't know what to tell you, Suze. Doesn't this guy have a fatal illness?
Apparently not.
Susan has been waiting for him to die for years because I thought he had a fatal illness.
He does.
But it's just
medical science is wonderful.
Oh God.
Yes, because I'm supposed to have custody of his two dogs.
Have his dogs, I know. Now, I'll tell you, his dogs speak well of him. No one can be a jerk and have such nice dogs.
Oh, well, the dogs are just congenitally sweet.
They're wonderful. So
I did tell you that they're so sweet that one of them got run over by the trash guy 2 weeks ago.
Oh, no.
She's fine, but she screamed the most horrifying scream I've ever heard in my life.
Well, how can you get run over by a garbage truck and be fine?
I don't know, but he backed up. She went, sprinting away. I didn't see her for 2 weeks. When I came back from my vacation, she was waiting as usual to greet me at my garage.
Okay, well, good. That's good news. Don't scare me like that.
It is.
Okay, we should stop.
Maggie lives.
We should stop because I have a feeling this is not of any interest to anybody.
Well, it's boring, but no one can tell.
We just sort of feel like we're talking to each other on the phone. Is that
right.
what you're saying? So speaking of that, and then we got to get into some stuff. I am not, for the political junkies in the audience, local political junkies, I am not going to be talking about the withdrawal of Mr. Lamb from the mayoral race because Susan doesn't know crap about that. And Chris Potter's coming tomorrow, and he's the guy to talk to. And so we'll talk about that. But one of our mayoral races shrinking and shrinking and shrinking, and
so you're just going to get the boy mayor again?
No. He's not running.
Oh,
he's got scandal surrounding him.
He's got too much dirt clinging to his shoes.
Well, that's not what he says, but he's got a lot. There's a lot of FBI agents wandering around, and
too many suitcases loaded.
And his chief of police is under indictment, and I mean, it's just a lot of bad stuff. And he's not having fun anymore, so he's decided not to run. And that initially brought a lot of people into the race, and now it's shaking out. So for a second there, it looked like we had 7 or 8 people running. Now it's shaken down to 4. And anyway, you don't care. And we'll talk.
No, but your senator decided that he had this epiphany, and he's come out against the Defense of Marriage Act.
Well, and it saves me having to write a letter because I actually said to myself last night, if you ever were to write a letter, you write it to Casey. I've given that guy money. And he's got so many stances that I don't agree with. But I've given him money because he's always running. He runs against people that So I was going. He's very Catholic, But I was already thinking about what I was going to write him, and I was going to say, I mean, this is This is not about the Catholic Church having to let gay people, have weddings in the cathedral, okay? So somehow manage to separate your religion and your strong religious views from your duty as a representative in this secular nation and all the people. And I don't see how it could be anywhere else. But it's interesting. He was on the receiving end, Susan, of a huge bunch of, there was a letter writing campaign. There was. People were just on him. And it shows how if you target someone and make a concerted effort, if you in fact do right.
If it becomes clear to him that that he's going to lose more votes by not doing it.
That's right.
Than he is by doing it, then he'll change his mind.
Now, he said he changed his mind because one letter out of all the letters.
Right, yeah.
And maybe this is somewhat true. Someone gave him a story that, broke his heart and felt he's that's right. But anyway, so yeah, that only leaves I think 6 or 7 Democrats, 6 Democrats. But he was one of the last ones. Even, Claire McCaskill, your senator, in a redder state than Casey is in, came out for gay marriage before he did. So that's more of a profiling courage than we got.
Well, she's a tough lady.
I know she's a tough lady, and she just and she's probably thinking, look, I've got 6 years. I got a 6-year cushion here because she just got reelected.
Well, no, she pretty much does what she thinks she should do within, some political boundaries. But
right.
She doesn't agree with the Democrats all the time. She doesn't, and she takes the Republicans to task when appropriate. She's really sort of your basic moderate kind of person.
Yeah. I like her. I think she's very well spoken, too.
Yeah.
I was just going to take a break, but
You can't.
No. Okay. So, Susan, one of the things that I was talking about yesterday when I was avoiding subjects of any interest to anybody was what I did over the weekend, which is something I had never done. And I have a sort of a puritanical streak where it makes it hard for me to feel not guilty if I spend a day doing nothing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I always
you immediately start thinking about laziness and blowing.
Right. You've got what have you done? I often felt that way about, sitting around watching television. Like, oh, come on, isn't there? And to this day, I cannot watch television unless I'm doing something else. Right. I can't just sit and watch it. It seems like.
Yeah, but that's not because.
Oh, that's also because it's boring or there's commercials.
It can't possibly take your whole brain.
No, and that's right, and it doesn't take my whole brain. Well, so. Here is what happened, and I blame this on my son. I bought him, I think it was for Hanukkah, maybe 2 years ago, or maybe this year, 2 seasons of The Wire.
Oh, and you just sat there and watched the whole thing beginning to end.
I couldn't do that, but I did, and I didn't realize that the term is binge-watched. I spent the weekend binge watching, and I'm not done. So I kept doing it last night, and now I'm afraid I'm going to do it again today, and I'm in a bit of a pickle. I can't stop.
Well, you're watching TV like you're reading a novel.
Yeah, like a book I can't put down.
Yeah, so just go for it. I think some of those series are really, honestly, they're much more enjoyed that way.
Well, I mentioned to our brother that I had, when I finished the first season, I mentioned to him that I had, and he went off on one of those raves of his, when he likes...
Yeah, that it's the best thing ever, and there's never been writing like this, and the acting, yes.
That is correct. In fact, the word he used, Susan, was Shakespearean.
Yeah, right.
But I'm not so sure he's incorrect in this case.
No. And I think
it is.
And I don't think there's anybody that's watched The Wire that doesn't use, total superlatives about it.
But you haven't seen it, huh?
Oh, yeah, I just haven't seen it all.
Okay. So, anyway, I get this from, this was all to set up Tom's email.
What was that? Did the computer come back?
Oh, it was a sign of life. A
God's
sign of
light
life.
shone upon you.
That is right. It's like Easter. That's right. The chief engineer is in the building.
Lucky.
Yeah, lucky me, Paul. Is it? Do you think that's fixed now?
Tell the chief engineer that everybody can hear whatever he's
You want to know
doing.
what the problem was?
What's the problem? Something wasn't plugged in.
It was a 12-volt power regulator on the motherboard.
It was a 12-volt power regulator on the motherboard. I could have told you that.
I know. I got your email.
There you go. So that's good. So now that means we can play all the commercials we don't have.
We do have
Oh,
one.
good. Well,
I actually do
I'll
have
go
a
in the kitchen
commercial.
and make breakfast.
No.
Call me back when it's...
No. I actually do have a commercial. Do I?
Yeah.
Okay, but can we do it now?
It's booting up.
Oh, it's booting up, so we're not doing it now. So anyway, let me do this email for you
Thank you so much.
that Tom wrote about binge watching. He said, I heard a phrase for the kind of TV watching you were doing with hours and hours just melt away. It's called binge watching. With Netflix, see, I got Netflix. It is so easy to do. And what my son did is set it up so that I can watch anything in Netflix has, like right there on my big, huge television.
He doesn't understand why he can do that. His son just set it up.
What?
Well, I just think it's funny the way he put it. He bought a TV that was, Bluetooth was wireless and links into Netflix. So, yes, go ahead.
Okay. All of the series you and the callers mentioned are good ones, but I've heard such good things about The Wire, I may have to give it another chance. Oh, yeah. However, Breaking Bad is right at the top of my list. Now, that was another thing I got through Netflix. I watched the pilot because I'd heard that, and it looks incredible. The scripts are tight. Bryan Cranston's slow transformation from season to season is a tour de force. His Emmys are well earned. I'm not sure that change can be fully appreciated, though, while binging, because the anticipation is not fully there. See, I wonder about that, because when something is written to have a week in between, and then you wipe that week out and you just, if something gets lost. On the other hand, Tom Sokolowski emailed, it's like Charles Dickens putting out Pickwick Papers or whatever he did, chapter by chapter on a weekly basis, which is how he did it. He invented the serial.
Yeah, I don't think that the pause is crucial to the story itself. The pause is, to some people, is pleasurable because they enjoy
digesting
the anticipation, and to other people it's a pure annoyance. They want to turn the page.
Yeah, they're dying, because it is one of those things where you're just dying to turn the page in this, the way they end it. But also, because it's so intense, you just go into such... And I have to tell you, riding the bus today, I was sitting in between these two black guys, and they were having a conversation which could have been lifted right out of The Wire. And I found myself like I was like watching a tennis match. I was like, I felt like I was like The Wire had come right to me. It was, they were talking, and I didn't always understand what they were saying because they were using language I don't know. They were using the patois of their neighborhood, and I didn't always understand what they were saying, but they were talking about some guy who was getting stabbed and how he this and then how the cop that and then blah, blah, blah. And they were so full of, it was just exactly like it got lifted right out of The Wire. I was blown away. So even though I'm not home watching the next episode, on the bus I got more. I loved it.
Which, speaking of television and you and Pittsburgh and all that, I was reading last week's issue of New York Magazine, the Matt Lauer article.
Yeah.
And, and how Matt's in so much trouble because somehow he's personally responsible for getting Ann Curry fired.
Yeah, he's the fall guy, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, he's in there, but he certainly didn't say fire her, and they did his bid. I mean, this is just the mismanagement at NBC, shown yet another way. But anyway, turns out that if you're assessing blame, part of the blame goes to the GM of the NBC affiliate in Pittsburgh.
You're kidding.
No, who called them up and said, "You guys are killing us. Look at our ratings. Get rid of her." Direct quote in the article.
Oh, wow. And
I thought that was an interesting tidbit that I saved for you just today.
Well, thank you. Trying to think who the GM is over at 11 now. I think it changed hands. But that's interesting. It's not like Pittsburgh is a major market.
Well, they were citing that affiliates were complaining that their ratings were tumbling, and he was one of the ones that called up and said, "Don't you guys know what you're doing to us?"
Yeah, but so they get rid of Ann Curry and the ratings are worse.
Right.
So she should not have been canned. And if they can Lauer, I don't know if that's the reason either.
No. Well, we don't have to solve their problems for them, but I suggest they get back to a format that has any kind of substance to it at all.
That's right. They've turned into a bunch of crap.
They've just ruined the show. It has nothing to do with the readers or the heads. It's all of these cooks that just ruined the stew. That's it.
Yeah. Lynn writes, "Yeah, The Wire." She says all the seasons are different and they're all excellent. Yeah, Lynn, I'm halfway through number 2 now. I know. And what's neat is they focus on it. First one was about the drug trade in the projects in Baltimore. Second one focuses on the docks on the harbor of Baltimore, and it's always about crime going on in these areas and the cops and fascinating, just fascinating, almost like documentary. And I even get a laugh now and then too, which is wonderful. All right, Susan, I want to talk about assholes.
No problem.
Oh, goody. Okay, but so we can't.
I have to.
Never mind, Jess. It's okay. Jess is breathless and just said we can't take a break. I was going to take a break.
I thought she meant we can't talk about assholes.
Oh, no, we can talk about assholes. But
in this day and age.
Well, here, I just want to say this. Mother Jones has an article titled, "Why Asshole is High Praise." So this is, if you get called an asshole, you can say, well, thank you very much, because this is a piece about a book that has been written extolling the extraordinary miracle of assholes.
You mean as in the real thing?
Yes. Yes, as in the real thing. This book, you might have heard about it. It's called...
As long as they're doing your bidding, they're wonderful.
Yeah, right. It's called Gulp. And you may have heard about it. This woman writes books...
Oh, is this the same one that says that saliva, that you should bottle it?
Maybe.
That says it's this miracle stuff, and if you could, you should bottle it?
Maybe.
I bet you it is.
Maybe it is.
Okay,
yeah, maybe it is. Because, yeah, she does a lot with saliva.
Mm-hmm.
And...
Interesting, you went to the assholes and I went to the spit.
Well, but it's just because I was looking at the Mother Jones article, which is about assholes, and not about spit. Oh, here comes Jess. There goes Jess. We got such troubles here today. You have no idea what's going on. I mean, I have no idea what's going on.
Let's be accurate.
That was a correction, a quick correction. So... Okay, while we're waiting to be able to take a break, and because I want to do the asshole stuff on the other side of the break, let me just regale you, since assholes is considered generally not, if we're going to talk about the anus, some people might be tuning out right now. And
right. Well, can I tell you that the best legal advice that I ever got? This is like one of the few things that I remember verbatim from a law school class.
And then I got it. I have to tell you about watching an elephant fart real close up.
Okay, first. It was in my criminal law case, of course, and they were, we were getting instruction about the proper way to pick a jury and how to voir dire and all this sort of stuff. And the sage advice of one of the instructors was to never pick a juror with a mouth like the anal orifice of a chicken.
Well, here's a problem with that piece of advice. I do not have a clue what the anal orifice of a chicken looks like. So how would I recognize a juror?
I don't know about you, but I pictured something very puckered and pursed. And small and mean and ungenerous.
Okay, so it was just okay. And Jess just said, I want it in a whisper, but it bears repeating. Oh, wow, I am so awesome. And what was the second word?
Smart.
There was one in between that. Awesome and something and smart.
No,
it was just awesome and smart.
Quit.
She did, I don't know what she did, but she's...
We're almost there.
Oh, we're not there yet? You're almost there. Okay. So you mean the great engineer did not really finish the job.
Oh, but I did.
But yes, he.
Yay,
Typical.
girl.
Yeah, girl finishes up.
That's what I wanted to talk to you about. But anyway.
Okay, well, so maybe I'll just do you my elephant fart story, and then we can go to a break.
Do the elephant fart story.
Well, I was in the up close and personal with the elephants at the zoo once as a television reporter.
Dolphins, elephants.
Yeah, but the elephant, I didn't realize how much danger I was in.
You never do!
Because it was like 7-8 months later, one of the, that elephant went after the trainer who was there, I thought, totally to protect me. So, and that was a trainer that elephant knew. So I thought, jeez, I was just right up. I was washing the elephant. I was standing under the elephant's mouth. I was very up close. I was putting food in it. Anyway, turns out when you feed an elephant, which I was doing a lot of, they are very flatulent. They fart constantly. And I must say, I noticed it, not so much hearing it, but it was odoriferous. And it was like, oh, geez, what the hell? And the trainer said, elephant farts. Get used to it. Then the elephant at one point was lying down. It was lying on its side, happy as can be in the grass. And it was farting up a storm. Now I was smelling it and hearing it. And my photographer zeroed in. There was one extraordinarily long fart. And he zeroed in on, he had a clear shot to the elephant's asshole. And you have never seen anything more extraordinary. See, if there were YouTube then, we would have put this right up. It's a close-up.
It was almost as if a mouth were whistling.
You can't imagine. And if you slow-mo'd it, it was fascinating because the amount of movement in the asshole for a fart is beyond belief what's going on. Because there it was writ large, because an elephant asshole is a big thing.
Well, let me just suggest to you that it's nothing more than the embouchure that you would make your lips to blow out a trumpet.
Well, yeah, so it'd be like...
Right.
Yeah, right. Something like that. But so if you can see... I mean, I have to tell... Damn it! Why did I lose that video? Why wasn't I ever thinking of the future? Do you know what that video could do for me now?
Yeah. Make you famous for elephant farts.
Yeah.
And make you party in a lawsuit from the cameraman that shot it.
I don't even recall who that was. I'd need the outtakes, because obviously I couldn't use it in my story. Because, well, it would be considered unseemly. But, of course, now nothing's considered unseemly, which is why we're talking about it. Susan, I'd never told that story before, so that's how I'm
Isn't
seeing
that
it.
amazing? A new one.
Yeah, that was the same day that I was knocked on the head by the elephant's trunk. So that I have told.
You would think at some point you would have figured out you weren't good at animals.
Oh. I was standing under the elephant standing now. I'm looking into its mouth. I was supposed to put something in its mouth. I was doing whatever they told me to do. And if you put something in the elephant's mouth, stop and think about it, that means the elephant's trunk is up.
Right.
Right? So the elephant's trunk is up. I'm under the mouth. I'm reaching up to get into his mouth. I put this thing in the mouth.
And he clunks you with his trunk.
And then the trunk comes down. Kaplooey! Right on my head. Oh, my God. You have no idea how heavy an elephant trunk is. Stop and think about how big those things are.
Yeah.
Oh, man. I mean, I saw stars. I did. I saw stars. I saw farts. What a day. The day in the life of a television feature reporter. All right.
Those were the days.
Those were the days. Okay, we're going to take one break, right? This is our first and final break. And we are ready, Miss Jess?
Ready.
Okay, the smart and totally awesome Jess will now do our break.
More is on the way with Lynn Cullen Live.
It's warming up outside, so get to Little's for all your spring needs. Little's has everything for men, women, and children to stay in style for this upcoming hot summer. Lots of great colors from Dansko, New Balance, Steve Madden, and much, much more. Don't forget to come visit this season's colorful handbag selection as well. Little Shoes, Pittsburgh's largest family shoe store, 5850 Forbes Avenue in Squirrel Hill.
Chris, you're not acting like a grown-up in our relationship.
Am too.
There's your comic book collection, the race car bed.
I'm young at heart, but I put money into my 401k every paycheck. I'm taking control over my financial life, and that feels pretty grown up to me.
Put away a few bucks, feel like $1,000,000. For free ideas and easy ways to save, go to feedthepig.org. That's feedthepig.org. Are those footy pajamas?
This message brought to you by the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants and the Ad Council.
Go to bergbargains.com for great deals on gift cards from your favorite local restaurants, bars, museums, and shows. This week only, get discounts up to 40% for the Steelhead Brasserie and Wine Bar. bergbargains.com, Pittsburgh's best bargains, bergbargains.com.
Have a question or an opinion? Call Lynn Cullen at 412-316-3381 or email lynn at pghcitypaper.com. Now, more with Lynn Cullen Live.
Okay, Mike in Washington writes, I'm never waiting to eat breakfast during your show again. Okay, I think that's a good idea, actually, Mike. Brunch. All right, Suze. So maybe we've done enough assholes. I haven't even done this part. This woman writes books that are somewhat up our brother's alley. She's done a book on cadavers called Stiff, and a book on sex called Bonk.
I read those.
Both
of them.
Jess has read both of those.
So
Great
good.
books. Well, her newest one is called Gulp, and it's about the alimentary canal. So it's about food going in and whatever comes out the other way. So she takes us on a journey. And she's quoted here in an interview as saying she was talking to one of her readers who was a doctor, and he started talking to her about the amazing anus, which nobody appreciates. He probably was he must have been a proctologist. And could never understand why he had to suffer all the jokes of all the people who knew he was a proctologist, because he thought the anus was one of the more extraordinary parts of the body. And she says this about it. Here's this ring of muscle with nerves that has to discriminate between solid, liquid, and gas and let it out accordingly. And the doctor said no engineer could design something as multifunctional and fine-tuned as an anus. To call someone an asshole is really a compliment. So?
Yeah.
And then she gets into people smuggling things in their anuses, assholes. And did you just read the story about some woman prisoner who had what did she have? She had a gun up her one orifice and a bunch of meth or something up the other. I mean, it was unbelievable what she was packed up with.
Good Lord.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And she says that it's hard to disgust a baby. But our brother, in his book, The Anatomy of Disgust, said otherwise. He said that a very small infant, I mean infant, will express disgust, which you can read on a human face very easily. Right?
Right.
I'm doing a disgust face right now. And if all you have to do to get that look of disgust on an infant, maybe 3-day-old human being, is to stick a human hair on its tongue, in its mouth. And it will... Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Okay. Is there anybody who likes feeling a hair in your mouth?
No.
No. But it's that basic. So babies who would put anything in their mouth and eat anything do show disgust. It also says here that if you make brownies or fudge, make fudge that is made to look like shit, no one will eat it. You can say to them...
Same thing for if your mother makes you a prune pie and tells you it's chocolate whipped.
Which happened to you. Well, you took a bite. You had to have taken a bite because she was going the other way. But so if something looked like bleh, and somebody said, no, it is the most amazing fudge in the world, people cannot eat it. I don't know what that means. It's how important your visual sense is.
Right.
Okay, I will cease and desist now.
Yeah, I'm sure that guy's breakfast is great by now. And what does your sausage look like, sir?
What else? Yeah, what does that sausage look like? Oh, that brings me to another TV story. You know how they say you should never watch sausage and legislation being made, that they're synonymous. It's something so ugly that you would never, first of all, eat the sausage again, or you wouldn't,
Right.
Whatever. Well, I went to a sausage maker once and then made the sausage as part of this shtick I used to do called On the Job. And it is what it is that making a sausage, it's not that it's so disgusting. It's that the visual of it appears to look absolutely masturbatory. I mean, it is just so, there's nothing else to say. And when we got back to the station with the video, so I had to make a piece out of it, it was almost impossible to find any video we could use that wouldn't have anybody just cracking up laughing or in absolute horror. It looks like I was beating off about 20. That's all it is. The stuff extrudes from this machine, and you've put some intestine over it. So this big, long, yucky thing, and the stuff comes, and you've got to keep it even. You can't have a sausage with
keep pinching it off.
Right. So you have to, keep this. You have to make your hand, into a perfect little circle, and just, and then, very, you're just sort of like, that's all it is. And we didn't know what the hell to do. Once we got back, I thought, oh my God, you can't put this on the air. I don't know what we did. I can't remember the upshot. It's just unbelievable. So, Hey, guys, if you're ever, hitting someone up for a date and it turns out she works in a sausage factory, I got news for you. Go for it. Go for it. All right, Sue, so did you see this thing about, this was in the news yesterday, but it's something I know that you would have a point of view about. Nearly 1 in 5 high school boys, we got a caller.
Sure.
After all that, who would call a show like this? Hello?
Hello, Lynn.
Hello.
Now, let me get this straight. You got farted in the face, hit by a trunk by elephant,
yeah,
and had sex with a porpoise.
Dolphin.
Now, when does it end, then, Lynn?
It doesn't.
And at what cost?
It doesn't.
Have a good day.
Thank you. You too. I am so sorry. Do you think he was enjoying these stories or not?
I think he was.
I wouldn't say I was farted in the face.
Are you suggesting that my sister's been around a bit too much?
Bestiality. Oh.
It's all in the line of duty.
Yeah. Did I tell you about the time I got stuffed between the 2-hump camel? Man, that was disgusting. All right. So, that's, no, it's the talk to any feature television reporter. That's the story.
The things they do for money.
That's right. The things we do to put some stupid thing up on the news at, every night. So nearly 1 in 5 there's another call. Okay, apparently I cannot do this other thing. Hello.
Hello. I couldn't resist.
Damn it.
It's Clarence from Canonsburg.
Yes, it is.
Did you notice that she said it was all in the line of duty?
I did. I was waiting for someone to call.
Well,
thanks, Clarence.
Yeah. I said, that was hilarious.
I thought I'd toss it out there, but thank you for noticing.
Okay.
Thank you, Clarence. Bye.
All right, bye.
Sorry, Sue, it was right over my head.
I got it.
Jess got it, too.
Laser is quick.
Yeah. Well, Clarence is quick.
Clarence catches every ball I toss. Thank you very much.
Yeah. All right. I'm getting serious here.
Yes, me too.
There's 6 minutes left in the show, and damn it if I can show that we can do serious stuff as well. Nearly 1 in 5 high school-age boys in the United States has received a medical diagnosis of...
Oh, don't get me started.
I knew it. Of ADD. 1 in 5 it's up to now. And that's a 53% rise in the last decade.
The girls aren't far behind.
They're
now
getting there, too.
diagnosing 11% of our children have ADD. And I'm going to say it as clearly as I possibly can. That's bullshit.
Thank you.
Do not drug your child.
So we are medicating for mental illness over 10% of our school-age children, and with high school boys, 20% of them, because we have medicalized childhood or adolescence or squirming or...
And we've taken away recess and lengthened the day where they sit there. We've given them all of these things that make their brains go faster, and then we sit them in school and we tell them to function the way we functioned before any of this stuff existed. And then when they can't do it, we give them speed to calm them down.
Because for some reason speed has the effect of... But speed helps them focus is what it does. And
speed
now
helps them focus.
And so now Ritalin and Alderol and these the drugs that are being used on these kids are being used by college kids and other people to pull all-nighters.
And the way they diagnose it, I just want you to be real clear about it, is a test that anybody can Google and get on the Internet. And it's, do you have trouble concentrating? Do you have trouble sitting? Do you have trouble... So any kid that wants the stuff, knows the answers to the question, goes in, takes the test. The doctor, totally shameful, I might add, hands over the drugs. The guys, I really think we ought to start tracking which are the doctors that are giving out most of these things, and then I think we ought to label them for what they are, which are flat-out drug dealers. And I think we ought to start making arrests, because here's what happens. If children take too much of this, they can and frequently do develop psychoses. That means being really nuts, being out of touch with reality. And then what happens is some of them die.
Correct.
So if your child is acting up a little bit, before you give them this drug, and before you allow the doctor to tell you that, or the teacher to say, I don't want to put up with him or her, and you don't try other things, like a therapist or giving your child more exercise and all of those things, I'll just flat out say, I think you're a bad parent.
Okay, but now wait. So you said something rather...
I do. I think there are some kids that need
some kids do need it, but
substantially lower number.
Tiny number compared to what's up here. So,
tiny number.
But there are parents who do have children that do need something. But the vast majority
don't. The vast majority need a parent who's willing to teach their child how to behave and give them enough exercise and enough of an appropriate life that the child knows how to sit when it needs to sit.
Okay, well, the
And in the case of boys, let me say one other thing. And in the case of boys, pushing your kid into school at the age of 5 might not be appropriate. That might be too young for a boy to be ready physiologically to sit. And that boys sometimes need to start school a year later. And then they don't have ADD. It's because they are their brain has sufficiently matured that they're ready for school. And it's a totally different issue. And parents, allow your kids not to be perfect. Don't drug them to be perfect, please.
Or to get better grades. Or to get better grades.
Or don't let your college kids do. Here's the thing about the college kids. It's like steroids in baseball.
Well, that's what they say. It's a mental steroid. So they use them before SATs. They use them before tests.
Yeah, but here's the thing: if more than half the population is using them, and you aren't, are you disadvantaged?
Yeah.
This is really insidious. So when you hear me get this upset about it, you need to think of all the ramifications and how far, excuse the term, Big Pharma has pushed this drug onto society, that this is where we are, because it's sick.
Well, the New York Times article really does focus on doctors and pharmaceutical industry, and also nervous Nelly scared parents who think there's something.
Parents.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
A terrible combination.
Listen to this ad for one of the drugs for attention deficit disorder. It shows a mother looking at her son and saying, I want to do all I can to help him succeed. And then the answer is, drug him. Drug him. And it works. So advertising from Big Pharma has played off those parental fears, and their ads show children struggling in school or left without friends or all this stuff. And just give them a pill and they will be fine. Also, they figure that as much as 30% of the prescribed medication is ending up going to people for whom it was not subscribed. So kids who have it are handing it out.
Yeah, they're selling it.
They're selling it.
This is just, and I'll and something else is that some of the symptoms that might be interpreted, especially in older kids, as ADD, are not ADD. They're depression.
Yeah.
And if you're, inability to sleep or concentrate, believe me, that can equally be depression. And if you're treating depression with amphetamines, it's not a good combination.
Well, there's a doctor, a guy named Ned Hallowell, who's a psychiatrist, and he was one of the early guys who said these drugs are just fantastic for these kids. They do such wondrous things, and he was always saying they're safer than aspirin. He now is ready to shoot himself And he says, I really regret the analogy. I will never, ever, ever say that again. I think it's time to call attention to the dangers associated with making this diagnosis in slipshod fashion. We have kids out there getting these drugs to use them as mental steroids. That is dangerous, and I hate to think I had a hand in creating this problem. So he's just beside himself.
I just want to say that I know, for various reasons, of numbers of parents who seek help because their adult children or their college-age children have suddenly turned into monsters with mood swings, and they aren't, they don't speak to their parents, and their parents can't talk to them, and if they try and talk to them, they're horrifying, and if they do, and let me tell you what that is, parents, if you're seeing that kid's on amphetamines.
Well, it could be on something else, too.
Could be on something else, but that's what it looks like. And that's how it presents, and when we're hearing about it, that's how we're hearing about it. So,
however, wait a minute. If a kid of a certain age has mood swings and doesn't talk to his parents, that's not necessarily...
No. I'm not talking...
That's like describing me as an analyst.
I'm talking about a noted, violent personality change.
Oh, okay.
I'm not talking about adolescent mood swings and glumness and all that sort of stuff. I'm talking about the person you know really doesn't exist anymore. And then periodically they do. And then they really don't exist anymore. And these are violent mood swings. And they cause a person to behave totally out of character. So anybody that has seen it knows what I'm talking about, and what I'm talking about is parents, your otherwise normal kids who are letting you know that they're using amphetamines to get through, that big exam or to get that paper written. It really isn't benign, and they should know it's not benign.
Hey, what a world. At least when we were doing drugs at, to stay awake, amphetamines and stuff like that, it wasn't our parents and doctors and television advertisements that were forcing them onto us.
No.
No.
Listen,
we knew we were doing
really good. It's like cocaine makes you feel really good.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a price you pay for that good
There's
feeling,
a price
folks.
you pay for it. It's addictive. Too much makes you psychotic. When you're psychotic, you can do things like jump off of buildings.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Susan. I knew that would get to you.
It does get to me. It's horrifying.
Yeah. Well, I would agree.
Okay.
Hey, thank you very much.
On that note, I better go exercise and work off some rage.
That's right. Use it to lift heavy weights. Thank you so much.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Okie doke. Tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Potter will be here. We will talk all this political stuff that's happening, mayoral race, which it's very interesting. There sure seems to be a lot of folks who are trying to keep Bill Peduto out of the mayor's office, which only makes me want to get behind him more. That's my own reaction. We'll talk about it, yours, tomorrow. Have a good one.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper, Steel City Media, and its advertisers.